Let me guess how your day went. You woke up tired. You dragged yourself to a job you've had so long, it forgot to thank you. You answered a text from your kid who needs money for something. You answered a call from your mother who needs you for something else. And somewhere in there, in the 90 seconds you had to yourself, a little voice whispered the question you've been dodging for 20 years. Am I ever going to be able to stop? And here's the part that'll make you want to throw your phone. You are not lazy. You are not bad with money. You did almost everything they told you to do, and you are still exhausted, and you are still behind. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly who did that to you, because it wasn't you. So sit down, take the weight off. They call you the forgotten generation, and honestly, that tracks. There are about 65 million of you, born somewhere between 1965 and 1980. And the whole world managed to walk right past every single one of you. The boomers got the parades. The millennials got the headlines. And you got a house key on a shoelace and a note that said, "Dinner's in the freezer, heat it yourself." You were the latchkey kid. You let yourself in. You made your own snack. You did your own homework, badly, with the television on. And you turned out fine, because you had no other option but fine. Nobody was coming. You learned that at 8 years old, standing in an empty kitchen. And some part of you has believed it ever since. Nobody is coming. Hold on to that. It matters more than you think. Because you grew up and you did the grown-up things. You got the job. You got the other job when the first one fell apart. You had the kids. And right about the time you were finding your feet, somebody quietly changed the rules of the entire game and forgot to tell you. Here's the rule they changed. Your parents had a thing called a pension. And a pension was a beautiful, simple promise. You show up, you do your decades, and at the end, your company keeps paying you until the day you die. You didn't have to understand it. You didn't have to manage it. Somebody in a big office did the worrying for you, and the check just showed up. That was the deal for your father. That was the deal for your grandfather. That was not the deal for you. Right as you walked in the door, they took the pension out back and quietly retired it. And they handed you something new, something with a name so boring your eyes glaze over before you finish reading it. They handed you a 401k. And here is the entire trick, so listen close. A pension was a promise somebody made to you. A 401k is a promise you have to make to yourself. They took the whole job, the saving, the guessing, the worrying, the math, and they slid it across the table onto your side. And they called it freedom. They said, look at all this control we've given you. And they were counting on one thing. They were counting on you being too busy, too tired, and too polite to notice that they just handed you a second unpaid job and set it on fire and walked away. Did anyone teach you how to run it? Did a single soul sit you down and explain it? Of course not. You got a pamphlet, maybe an email. A man in a tie talked at you for 40 minutes about something called vesting. And you nodded, and you understood roughly none of it, because you were thinking about daycare pickup and the check engine light. So you did what any exhausted, reasonable person does. You picked whatever the default was, and you looked away. And you promised yourself you'd figure it out later. Later never came. Later never comes. That's later's whole personality. And I want to be so clear with you right now, because this is the part that heals something. That was not stupidity. That was survival. You were being crushed from both ends, and there were only so many hours, and something had to give. And the thing that gave was the boring paperwork about a day 30 years away. Anybody would have made that trade. You made the human choice. Now let me show you what that quiet little choice cost, and I'm going to show you with real numbers. The typical Gen X household has managed to save about $115,000 for retirement. And I know how that sounds. It sounds like a lot. Hold it in your hand for a second and it feels heavy, feels like something. But here's the cruel part. When you ask Gen X what they'll actually need to retire without fear, the number that comes back is around $1,100,000. And when you ask what they honestly expect to have, it's about $711,000. So do that subtraction with me. The gap, the space between what they need and what they'll have, sits at about $400,000. $400,000. And that gap is the widest of any living generation. wider than the boomers, wider than the millennials. You, the forgotten ones, are staring across the biggest canyon of them all. Not because you saved the least, because they moved the finish line while you were busy carrying everyone else. And your body already knows this, even the parts of you that never look at the numbers, because more than half of you, around 51%, say money stresses you out on a regular basis. Only about 16 out of every 100 of you feel like you've saved enough. 16. That means 84 of you are lying awake doing this exact math in the dark. So if it's felt lonely, if you felt like the only one falling behind while everyone else has it figured out, no, it's almost everyone. The whole room is pretending. You just happen to be honest. But we haven't even gotten to why you're so tired. Because the money is only half the weight on your back. There's a name for what you are now. They call you the sandwich generation. And it is the least appetizing sandwich ever invented, because you are the meat in the middle, and you are getting squeezed from both slices at once. Above you, your parents are getting older. They need rides. They need help with the pills and the forms and the doctor who talks too fast. Some of them need money, quietly, the kind of help nobody puts in a group text. Below you, your kids aren't launching the way kids used to. About 1 in 5 of you is still financially holding up a grown adult child. Rent, phone bill, the loan you co-signed and are now clearly paying. You are funding the generation above you and the generation below you out of the one paycheck in the middle. And somehow you're supposed to be funding your own future too, with whatever's left. Spoiler, there's never anything left. And it isn't just the money going out, it's you going out, drop by drop. Around 40 out of 100 people in your exact situation say they rarely, if ever, feel relaxed. Think about the last time you felt genuinely relaxed, no low hum of dread underneath it. And if you had to think hard, that's the whole point. Over half say they're struggling to keep their own mental health above water while they keep everyone else afloat. You are the strongest person in your family, and you are drowning in a way nobody can see, because the strong ones aren't allowed to look like they're drowning. So let's put the whole picture together, because when you see it all at once, something finally clicks. They took away the safety net your parents had. They handed you a complicated machine and no instructions. They wedged you between 2 generations that both need you to carry them. And then, this is my favorite part, if you can call it that. Then they had the nerve to turn around and call you tired, lazy, behind. Like the exhaustion was a flaw in your character, and not the completely predictable result of asking one human being to do the work of 4. That is the villain of this story, not you, the setup. The quiet, boring, beautifully disguised setup that was rigged before you ever sat down at the table. And I need you to feel the difference between those 2 stories, because it's everything. One story says, I'm behind because something is wrong with me. That story steals your sleep and gives you nothing back. The other story says, I'm behind because the game was rigged, and I was strong enough to keep everyone alive through it anyway. Same exact life, same numbers, completely different weight to carry. The first one is a verdict. The second one is the truth. Now, here's where I'm supposed to sell you something. This is the moment in every other video where a grinning man promises a secret trick that fixes all of it in 90 days. I'm not going to do that. I respect you too much, and you're too tired for fairy tales. So instead, I'm just going to hand you one thing, one rule, the only rule for tonight. Stop paying the tired tax. Here's what I mean. Right now, because you're exhausted, you're paying a tax you can't even see. It's the great retirement plan you never picked, because reading about it felt like one more job. It's the free money from your work's match that you might be leaving on the table because nobody sat you down and explained it. It's 20 years of looking away because looking felt like one more thing, and you were already carrying so much. That looking away has a price. That's the tired tax, and you've been paying it quietly out of your own future for a very long time. You don't fix that tonight. You don't fix 20 years in one evening. And anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. But you can do one thing. You can decide that the reason you fell behind, the exhaustion, the squeeze, the nobody ever explained it, is the exact thing you stop letting run the show. You already proved you're strong enough to carry your parents, your kids, and a rigged system on your back for 2 decades straight. A person that strong is not too far behind. A person that strong was just aiming all that strength at everyone except themselves. That's the whole shift, not more effort. You've got no more effort to give. And I'd never ask for it. Just a sliver of that same strength turned, finally, toward the one person who's been keeping everybody else standing. Because here's the truth they were betting you'd never figure out. You were never bad at this. You were never lazy. And you were never behind in the way that word is meant to make you feel. You were tired. There's a world of difference between the two. And the people who rigged this were praying you'd never learn it. Now you know it. So the game just changed again, except this time, you're the one who changed it. I'm your dollar bill George. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll meet you in the next one.